Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Armband. The new season is literally some amount of hours away, and in today's show Kieran and I are going to reveal our latest, maybe even final teams and chat about who we think are the best players for each position at the start of the season. Keek, are you really excited now?
Yeah, it's 2 days away now, and
Yeah,
it's go time basically. Yeah, ready to go.
I can't wait. I feel like the last week, or maybe even since Monday, my level of drafts per hour has gone up. But I feel like
Same.
I feel like I'm there now. I've not changed it since yesterday. So
Wow.
I know. So it feels like we're getting close to that famous locked in word. Just quickly for anyone who's new, thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat as we're streaming. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please do that now. We're trying to hit 5,000 subs this season at some point, which would be fantastic. And if you can join us along the way, that'd be fantastic. So we're going to jump in and talk about different players in different positions in today's show ahead of the start of the season, and then we're going to just jump into our teams at the end. So Kate, let's start talking about goalkeepers and where they've been in your thinking as we've sort of gone through the pre-season here. Who stood out for you in that position?
Right. I'll start with Onana. Obviously, I think he's probably the most picked goalkeeper now. Highest percentage is 24.9. That's probably gone up since I made the notes, but so he's obviously a cheaper pick than Shaw for the defense. For getting into the Man United defense, covering it off. His last two preseason games that he's played in, or his first two, they conceded one goal in each, which obviously isn't ideal, but I guess that's kind of getting used to the new system. You know, one of them he was lobbed from the halfway line, that's pretty rare. That's not going to happen again.
No,
so
you'd hope.
Yeah, you hope. So I expect they'll sort of tighten up pretty quickly. Obviously the fixtures of Wolves at home, and obviously Wolves have just lost their manager Lopetegui, so they're in a bit of a mess right now. So that should be, you'd think, a clean sheet banker. So that's 6 points, probably maybe a couple bonus, maybe not many saves. I don't expect Wolves to do much, to be honest, but you'd think there's 6 minimum there. And then Tottenham away, probably not expecting a clean sheet there, but maybe a few saves. Nottingham Forest at home is obviously a banker for a clean sheet as well. Arsenal away, not great, but saves. Brighton at home, meh.
Meh.
And then Burnley away and Crystal Palace at home. So the home fixtures look like they're possible, maybe 3 clean sheets, 2 I'd say at least. So that seems all right to me. For 5 million and into sort of cover the defense, I feel like that's okay. So,
I think Onana is interest is way higher than I thought it would be. I think probably, maybe, I don't know if you agree, but Shaw was so well picked as soon as the game came out. 20-30%. United obviously had a great season last season when it came to their home form and clean sheets, and we spoke about it on previous shows. Do you think just because he's that 0.5 mil cheaper than Shaw and how we're trying to spread our budget around, it just makes sense, even though if we get to a position later in the season, 0.5 from Onana down to a 4.5 could be really useful. It just makes sense to start the season with him as a fixture.
I'm not necessarily stuck on him. He's in my draft at the moment. But if I need to save, or I want that 0.5 in the bank, I don't think there's much difference between him and someone like a Johnston or a Pickford with their fixtures. So I think it's probably roughly about the same amount of clean sheets, you'd guess. So do you just save that money? It's just if you want to cover United, really, because of the ownership.
I think it's fair enough, especially. I mean, we talked about Shaw's attacking potential not being perhaps worthy of the 5.5 million, but when you can fit Onana in at 5 million, it does seem like a good move there. If you're not spending 5 million for your goalkeeper slot or your first choice goalkeeper, I got to say I've been toying with Johnson. I can't believe what low ownership he's got. 1.5% of people, so he's pretty much a differential in goal. Had a great end of the last season, 4 sort of points per game at the back end, where after Roy came back in and he started at the end of the season. Roy said that Gaita's something like he was disillusioned with the club, so I don't feel like he's under any threat. And what Crystal Palace provide, obviously decent defensive record and history of that, especially with Roy. And in Whitworth, as a backup at 4 million, you've got quite a secure 4 million slash 4.5 million sort of combo there, rather than having to rely on two different teams, which I always think is quite important.
Is that something you're considering?
Definitely. I think it's the issue is, which I'm sure we'll get onto with all the other players, for me anyway, and probably for you, is trying to work out the best four or five, depending if you're playing 3 at the back or 4 at the back, teams to start the season with from a defensive point of view. I think the flavour of like the month at the moment is it's going to be Man City, Arsenal, Brighton, Man United, and then maybe even a Chelsea probably next after that. That's probably the 5 teams, and trying to squeeze one player from each of those teams in is really tricky. And I think probably Man United of those are maybe the most expendable because of their away trips to Tottenham and Arsenal in the first 4. So you wouldn't spend 5.5 million on Shaw, and you wouldn't spend 5 million on Anna. So that's when I think the 4.5 / 4 million combination starts to come in. And yeah, I've definitely considered him strongly, but I think it's just the FOMO when it comes to not having a United asset for Wolves and Nottingham Forest at home.
Yeah, true. It's going to be scary to go against that, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Forest get one, but Wolves I just can't see at all.
No.
But I think it's just, you got to think about, up until wildcard and stuff, it's not just the first week. So I don't know. Obviously, there's been news I think today that came out
is it
with
Gary O'Neill?
No. Well, I was going to talk about Turner moving to Forest. What is Gary O'Neill with Wolves? Is that what's
he's
happening?
gone to Wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a terrible appointment personally, but Turner, ex-Arsenal keeper, United States first choice goalkeeper. 4.0 going to Nottingham Forest, and he's probably going to start. They haven't signed Henderson yet. Who knows if that's actually going to happen? So until then, he seems like he's a 4-0 starter. And then the rotation of fixtures with him and Pickford, who's 4.5, so that's 9.5. Is that right? 8.5. Sorry. 8.5. For 2 keepers with the fixtures rotation of Fulham at home, Sheffield United at home, Wolves at home, Sheffield United away, Burnley at home, Brentford away, Luton at home, Bournemouth at home, Luton at home again for whichever side that is, and then Wolves away. And those are like 7 home fixtures against really bad teams. It sounds really good to me. It sounds very enticing. It's probably something I'm going to look at more after the show if I want to go there. I mean, Everton's defence, Dyche, like the actual first sort of proper season under him, you'd imagine it'd be better. They've kept like 1-0 clean sheets the last 3 in the preseason, so they're gonna keep it tight, that's for sure. So I think that's certainly something I'll look at, and I may end up going there. And there's also Turner and Johnston from Palace as well, which is kind of just as good, which is Sheffield United away, Sheffield United at home, Brentford away, Wolves at home, Burnley at home, Fulham away, Brentford home, Nottingham Forest home, which they play each other. Wait, is that right? Yes, it is right. And then Luton home and Tottenham home. So Tottenham's obviously not great, but it's kind of just it's negligible, that sort of thing. So it's whether you like Johnston or Pickford more, I guess.
That's it's like 8 or 9 fixtures for both of them, which you could run with easily until if you play like a wild card. I like it. I like it a lot. I think just because of how they've priced some of those goalkeepers, like the especially Ramsdale and Onana. But if you think you can pay like 0.5 million more to get into that back line, or it does sort of entice you to do it. But I think what the value you always seem to get from 4.5 million goalkeepers is the amount of saves and the bonus that come off the back of that. I mean, Raya, prime example last season. Pope, maybe, I think it was the year before that he was 4.5. It's usually a 4.5 million keeper that emerges, and there's one better than the rest that does end up.
Pickford's usually pretty good for saves as well.
Yeah.
He does seem to get a lot.
Yeah, I do like it. I just want to, I think before we move on from goalkeepers just to the defence, just on 4 million picks, I noticed when I was looking at the ownership, Areola 38% owned. I don't think he's going to play, is he? He didn't
Seems
start
a
the
bit
last
unlikely
one.
now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Everyone thought he would, and that's why he was owned by everyone. But
yeah.
yeah, it seems kind of unlikely now.
Do you think for people that own him, just worth making sure that you change him just in case it? Obviously, if he doesn't start the season, that's like a huge chunk of people who could get rid of him, and his price could drop.
Just pick Turner. Just simple, really. Pick Turner instead.
Hope that goes through before the weekend or before Friday.
Yeah, I'd imagine it'll be done by today. Hopefully.
I hope so. Well, let's move on to defence because it spoke about like the top teams a moment ago. Maybe not even causing who's the most difficult pick? Do you think when it comes to the defence at the moment, or which team is the most difficult pick for you to justify including?
I don't know. I guess Estupinian is kind of like someone who I've been considering not going with.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But he's 51% owned,
It's
which
crazy.
is I couldn't believe that. I thought he'd be something like 25, something like that, but 51%. Maybe that's a lot of just like auto pick teams still, and they haven't really looked. But at the same time, you probably look at Luton at home in the first fixture and think, let's keep that guy. But yeah, 5 million. But I just don't see them keeping many clean sheets personally. I think they're very, very attacking, and Cancelo does look like he is going to leave. So I think they're losing something there. I think maybe one clean sheet in the first three, even though those first three fixes look great, and then other than that, the next two don't look great, but then they've got two good fixtures after that. So I think I'm going to have him just because I think he rotates really well with another player in my draft who I've got later.
Okay.
What do you think about him?
Yeah, I'm scared by the ownership. I'll be honest. I think if we are going to go for him, then I think now is the time to do it, just because of the fixtures. And again, the FOMO. I feel like the template at the start of this season is really strong. Like when you look at the ownership of players, and I think almost backing against that too much at the start is maybe a little bit dangerous. But obviously, it gives you the upside if you do win on that. But yeah, I don't see anything like too negatively wrong with Stupian. I think that Brighton aren't going to be up there for clean sheets. I think they only managed like 9 under De Zerbi when he came in last season, but he's sort of a minimal investment of 5 million. That's just over the threshold of what you'd pay like a base player, and he's got good to decent attacking pedigree against some teams that aren't great offensively. So yeah, Luton, Wolves, Bournemouth, West Ham as the first of all, and even Burnley after that. I mean, Luton and Burnley are a bit of unknowns, but Wolves, Bournemouth and West Ham, are they really going to score 2 or more goals against? And then you just think or against Brighton, and then you're thinking if he can get maybe 1 attack in return and 2 clean sheets across that, I don't think there's many other defenders that are, I don't know, going to do similar for teams that are priced at that or less, really.
Yeah, I mean he's 5th highest expected points for defenders for the first 4 game weeks, which is interesting at 16.5, which is 4.1 points per game, which seems pretty good.
Yeah.
And then so the guy that I'm thinking of doing with him in my team is rotating him in the bad fixtures for a guy called Udoji. I think he's from Spurs. 4.5 million, very attacking fullback, and it'll give me a set of fixtures of Luton at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth away / West Ham United at home, so you can choose between them. Then a Burnley away, Sheffield United at home, Bournemouth at home, Aston Villa away, Luton away. So those are really good fixtures for me, and that's 2 really bombing on defenders and 2 very attacking teams, because Spurs teams has sort of changed the way they play, and they're very attacking now. So I don't think there's going to be many clean sheets for Spurs, but I also don't think there's going to be many clean sheets for Brighton. So if I can get the upside of those 2 rotating out of the really hard fixtures, and then there's probably going to be a couple clean sheets in there for their good fixtures, plus some very attacking fullbacks with potential of attacking returns. I think that seems quite good.
I quite like it, and a player to like, or to rotate an attacking player like that is not a bad shout, especially in teams where, like you say, neither of them are we're expecting, I don't think, to be up there for sort of the best clean sheet record over the course of the season, but definitely both are going to be up there when it comes to attacking potential. So yeah, no, I don't mind that at all, really.
Yeah, I mean Spurs fixtures as well. So the ones like where is he? So Spurs fixtures are not bad at all. Like
Mm.
Brentford away, or the first two obviously not great, but then they got Bournemouth away, Burnley away, Sheffield United at home, and then there's two that I would rotate him out for, which are Arsenal away and Liverpool at home. I'd put in Estepinian.
Oh yeah,
Then they got Luton away, and then Fulham away, then Fulham at home, so Crystal Palace away. So that they've got all these good fixtures, and I think it'd be stupid to think that Spurs can't keep a couple clean sheets.
yeah, in those games.
They're still a good team. They might be ultra attacking now, but they're still going to keep some clean sheets against bad teams. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't think I was going to do anything like this before, but I just like it. I like it as like Udoji is like seems to be absolutely nailed on as the first choice left back. I think it is at 4.5 million. Like why not just take that chance? And he's so low owned as well. So
I was going to say for a 4.5 million asset in what was historically or could still be like a top 6, sometimes top 4 team in Spurs, then yeah, I don't hate it at all. And like you say, based on the style of play and from what I've seen of him as well in pre-season, he looks like he's got goal threat, whether that's assist or like actually goals in it. So yeah, I think he's a good shout. Well, I'll talk about the one the team that I'm still not on board with the idea of, because in the first episode of this like pre-season, and I was talking to you about it, I was saying, man, I don't want a Man City defender, and I've had Stones in there, and I feel like I've just been sucked into this Man City vortex, and I can't get out of it. And his ownership is like Stupian. It's scary. It's like 38%. He's 5.5 million. Defender. Man City clean sheet record wasn't great last season. He played plum centre back against Arsenal Community Shield.
I mean, but that was Arsenal. I feel like that won't happen all the time.
Yeah, maybe. But then Kovacic has given him more threat in midfield. They're signing. Is it Guardiola or have you?
Guardiola, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like he's not a normal me pick, but at the moment he's in my team because I'm worried. Do you like Stones or do you like any Man City defenders?
I've been trying to convince you of him. I think I definitely will go there. Like it's hard to. He feels like he's essential to the team at the moment, and even when he's not doing the sort of inverted thing. He's still playing centre back. Yeah. So, I think if Guardiola or Vardiol comes in, he's definitely going to be playing that sort of inverted role. So I just feel like he's just going to be playing most of the games, if not all of that. Maybe he gets rotated for the Super Cup and then he just plays all the Prem games, and that'd be fantastic. But like City had sort of expected the most clean sheets for the first 8 weeks or whatever. So I just want at least some part of that. They've got the best fixtures. They're the best team.
Do you think they looked a bit off it in the Community Shield? I mean, I know they were last season, and everyone said about it the year before they were as well, but I didn't think they looked that great.
No, they didn't. But I think they looked pretty solid defensively. So I think there's clean sheets there for sure.
I hope so. I think the City this season is going to be a huge regression just because of the treble last season. I think it'd be so hard for them to go again. I feel like Arsenal run them a lot closer. But anyway, enough on that. Well, Stones will probably stay in my draft for the fear. But I agree, he should get clean sheets in at least 2. Maybe 3 of those opening 4 fixtures. He should.
I think, City keep clean sheets at the start of the season more often than not. They seem to go on the sort of run even towards Christmas as well. They keep more clean sheets. So there's clean sheets for them for sure. I did want to mention a Kanji quickly.
Oh yeah. God.
Yeah. 5 million. And if you do want to go a sort of cheaper route in defense or double City defense, if you really wanted to, he's actually, which I didn't expect to see, right? He's actually played the most minutes of all the City defenders last year.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense to me because it felt like he didn't play all the time.
Oh, man, you're telling me. That's why I picked him last season. He was crap. But anyway, all right.
Okay, so 2,200 minutes-ish. And then the second in line for minutes was 1,953, which was Walker, and it felt like he didn't play at all, which is crazy. So Stones only got 1,844. So Ake got 1,871. So Akanji got most of the minutes. So I thought that's interesting to say the least. So I feel like everyone thought he'd be rotated all the time, and he just seems to be slotting in there every time. So Guardiola likes him. I imagine they'll start to play a 3 at the back with an inverted Stones again as usual. So like 4 across. And he should be one of them.
It's just, I know, Kanji's definitely a minutes pick. I think that's another reason why I can't get my head around owning Stones, is because I know at some point he's just going to get benched randomly. I mean,
yeah, maybe, but he's not. I think he's kind of over his sort of injury stuff as well. Hopefully,
I hope so. I mean, he nearly convinced me. If he'd scored that header he had against Arsenal, I feel like he'd be an easy pick in my head. But maybe it's just I've not seen anything to prove he should definitely be in. But yeah, no, you make a good point on Akanji. He is favoured, but he doesn't offer much. There is I know we glossed over it a little bit, but there is a little bit of talk going around on Ortega being maybe first choice this season, which would be really interesting. 4 million, that's like a potential game breaking hack there if that happens. So hopefully we get some sort of leak on Friday night, because there could be a few last minute changes to everyone's drafts.
If you get him, like, Edison's not going to sit on the bench all year, or is he? No. Would Edison turn into the cup keeper like Ortega was? Maybe.
Don't know, maybe.
So I think it would be a risk even if you did pick him still.
Yeah, maybe you could. Maybe I don't know what his ownership's like, but even if you picked him as your backup keeper and played him, he could play every so often, because I doubt he's going to have much ownership, so he won't go down in price. So
yeah, let's see.
All right, who else? We want to talk about. Anyone else on the defensive side of things? Who's your pick of the 4.5 millions? I suppose you've mentioned Udogie.
Yeah, like him. Henry Brentford's all right. Powell or Mings at Villa. Botman. Villa and Newcastle rotate really well.
Yeah.
Apart from the first game when they play each other, obviously, but they rotate well for fixtures too. So and they're both like pretty good defensive teams outside of the the Arsenals, the Cities, etc. So yeah, those two are good too.
Definitely, I like Colwell. So
Colwell, of course.
I've been using that FPL Team app, which is fantastic. Anyone's not already using it, but just to plan my defensive rotations, and Colwell works really well with the 3 I've got at the minute. So he sort of automatically comes in for game weeks 3, 4, and maybe even 6 as well. So yeah, I recommend people have a look at that and use that. All right. Any more to add on any of the defenders, or do you want to jump on to midfielders?
Let's move on. We've spent a lot of time.
Yeah, we have actually done defenders. Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to pick one out to start chatting about?
Right. So team I'm sort of excited about with the Udogie pick is Maddison at 7.5 million, 12.4% owned at the moment. Spurs have looked exciting in their preseason games. Just some stats here. But they've had 104 shots in 3 preseason game friendlies. They had 28 versus Shakhtar with 19 on target, 44 versus Lions City with 13 on target, and 32 shots versus West Ham with 13 on target.
Blimey.
So that's a very high shot volume, and that's ultra attacking football happening right now. So Ange has changed the philosophy already. They've got that front 4 of Kane, assuming Kane stays, Son, Kulusevski, and Maddison, all just taking shots constantly. And they're eventually going to go in, you'd imagine. Maddison at 12.4% feels like he's pretty good. Like his last preseason game, I think he got a goal. Not a goal, an assist, and won a FPL assist for a penalty. And obviously had a load of shots. So I think he got a few other returns as well in the other games. So I like him at the moment. I feel like that Brentford game is there for the taking as well. I don't think Brentford have been good defensively over the preseason at all. And Flecken's looked flaky.
Yeah, he has.
Flaky Flecken. So I think there's definitely points in that game. The first 2 are awkward, obviously Man United after that, but game week 3 onwards, that 3-week run of Bournemouth away, Burnley away, and Sheffield United at home, that looks like prime area for points. So if you have like a 6.5 mil mid or an 8 million mid that I do in mind, you can start to look at him from game week 3, I think, possibly at the start.
So how tempting for you is he? Because I know what your vague formation's like at the moment. Who he's competing with in your midfield, is he strong consideration?
He is a strong consideration. Okay. Absolutely. I'm wavering on game week 1, but then I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing. So maybe, like I said, I like that Brentford game still. Yeah. So maybe there is just a chance there for points. But the player I'm kind of treating the 5th or 7th sort of attacker in my team as like one I can kind of rotate in and out. Just like kind of transfers in and out. So there's the Madison pick. There's kind of like Odegaard. There's like Jota, those sort of players, or even the 6.5 million mids for the really good fixtures.
Got it.
And yeah, Madison is definitely one to consider. And I like it. I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like he's gonna go well on the first game.
Yeah. Well, it's players like Madison at 7.5. It make me think I don't want to spend that 5.5 million on Stones and maybe downgrade to a 4.5 because, I mean, we'll talk about our drafts when we get to them. But that 6.5 mid or spot in midfield, which I'm sort of keeping open for the 6.5 mids we've got options of at the moment, and then working up an extra million to Madison. So. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm thinking about too. But at the moment, some of the Brighton mids have got better fixtures. But yeah,
have you found that like you've looked at like maybe like 1 to 2 million in the bank as just, and you kind of felt comfortable with it in some of the drafts?
I don't know, maybe not maybe like 1 to 2 million, but maybe like 0.5. Yeah, okay. I feel like I'm trying to. I think it's because I know who you've got up front, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I feel like I'm trying to spend most of the money, but yeah,
I feel like that you can do a good and solid pick draft with like 2 million in the bank at least, like quite easily. But yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to. Well, let's talk about one of the big guns because Salah is constant in this preseason. So 2 goals, 7 assists, which is a bit of a reversal for what he's normally like. He's definitely been more of a creator than he has a goal scorer, but across all players in the league, he's had the best preseason. He's down at 23% ownership. I was looking at the numbers a bit more today, so he's not featured in my draft yet, and I think part of the reason is just the spread of players you can get with the funds you don't have tied up in him. But based on how City played at the weekend, I appreciate Haaland didn't look great. I mean, is it crazy? I know we haven't talked about this enough, but are we all just like overlooking him at our peril? So he's proven in 6 seasons he's capable of big point returns. So Haaland got expected points last season of 250. Salah got 238 by comparison. So that's expected points. So there's only 12 in it, and obviously they're like 1.5 million cheaper. Salah in the final numbers, admittedly, were much further apart. So Haaland overperformed his XG, or his expected points. He ended up with 272. Salah basically got bang on 239. So suggests really that Haaland overperformed, and perhaps he will regress a little bit this season, because I don't think you can keep overperforming your expected points, XG, XA, all of those expected metrics, right? And Salah has been the definition of premium consistency across 6 seasons. That's 255 points on average across 6 seasons. So I think his preseason form, his history has showed there's no reason why he's dropped off. Do you think, this is getting across my question here, if Liverpool weren't away Chelsea in game week 1, we would have a much more, and let's say, I don't know, maybe the fixtures were reversed, Haaland was away at Chelsea. Do you think the ownership wouldn't be split so high and Haaland having 86%, Salah having 23%? Because if you were going to perma-cap one over the other, I don't think across the season there's that much difference, which is the reason why we've all got Haaland, because we think we're all going to perma-cap him.
I was not. I won't lie that I have considered him. Obviously, he has looked good, but in those games that in the preseason, he has looked like he's kept very wide.
Yeah,
and he's keeping the width, and they're he got 2 goals, but 7 assists. You don't want 12.5 million for assists, really. No, but you want goals.
That's more bonus. I suppose Haaland's getting bonus for his clinical finishing and his lack of chances, but that's just key passes. That's good bonus metric as well.
For me, it's something he'll get 250 odd points right for the season, but then you're probably having a 4.5 million defense with him, and what's that guy going to get, 120-ish? So, and then it's between, so you go Salah plus 4.5, or you get Rashford plus Saka, that sort of thing, Rashford plus Martinelli or something. So those two probably together are going to outscore the 12.5 and 4.5 combination, I feel like. So that's just where I'm going with it, and just spreading the funds around. I feel like across the season, the combination of the other two, the sort of mid-priced to high-priced mids, are going to do better than just Salah with a 4.5.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, I totally get that opinion.
But
and that
but yes,
argument.
he absolutely could perform well. The Bournemouth game is going to be scary,
Yeah.
and yeah, just like if you go for him, they give you, I guess, you just got to make your bed for it if you're not going there. And I will be swearing up in the chat if he's scoring loads of goals. But yeah, I just gotta just get past it. I think I'm just not going there. Yeah,
I
simple.
don't think that. Oh, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think that it would be people would favour having Salah in the team more if there was another decent option. Let's say Tony was back, another decent striker option who is around that sort of price for Watkins, because I don't think you can have Salah and Kane and still a balanced draft like most of the 3-5-2s and the 3-4-3s are now. But if you had two decent striking options who were in that mid-price bracket, you'd feel probably more comfortable having Salah, let's say Watkins and Tony, if he was back, than you would having Haaland and whoever you've got up front at the moment, and then the sort of the 8 to 9.5 million mids, if that makes sense.
Yeah, is Harry's saying in the chat as well. We do have transfers. Like we
Yeah.
can get to Salah eventually. We've got wild card eventually. Like he's not going to be out of our thinking possibly all season.
Yeah,
you can target some games, some doubles and stuff. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, who else do you want to chit chat about in midfield? Who've got your eye on?
So someone I think people have been overlooking, obviously, is Odegaard.
Yeah, absolutely.
8.5 million. Yeah, he's quite expensive for what I guess people think that he is, but possibly a bit more of a CM than an attacking forward.
He was so far forward.
He was so far forward in the Charity Shield game. So, yeah, he was in the midfield 3 on the team sheet, but he was basically up with Havertz quite a lot of that game. Surprisingly, I didn't even realize this. He was the second highest scoring mid last year with 212 points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 21.5%, like I say, are people overlooking, and that's still quite high, but I feel like that is auto-pick teams that haven't really looked.
That's not a Stupian levels of high, is it, for the second highest scoring player?
Exactly. So 15 goals and 8 assists last year from XG of 8.5 and an XA of 9.8. So he's obviously way outperforming the XG there. So that suggests overperformance. And a lot of his goals were from like long shots and things. So in other situations, those aren't going to go in. So I feel like he probably will regress a little bit, but Arsenal are expected to go from strength to strength, I feel like, with obviously their fixtures and their signings. Yeah, 93 shots, which was third of all mids across the whole season, which is crazy. 14 big chances created, which is good. 9 big chances for himself. Yeah, I think there's going to be a regression, but I feel like in the fixtures that is there for him at the start, he could do well. And he's obviously going to be a 90-minute man as well. Absolutely. Like the likes of Martinelli, who probably will go off at a 70-minute mark. Obviously, he's more explosive, but Odegaard's going to be there the whole time. Yeah, he can get his sort of tap assists for people who are taking shots out like Trossard and stuff like that. He can score from anywhere. His returns are from sort of free kicks, corners, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I like him as just someone you can, as I said with my sort of draft that I've got, as someone you can just sort of rotate in and out of fixtures when you see nice ones. And obviously that nice one for Nottingham Forest at home seems like a good one. So yeah, I like him.
Yeah, no, well, he's been in a lot of my drafts, as you know, building up.
Has he? Okay.
I think he was in my first 2 that we did in the previous shows, but he's not made it in like to my latest and perhaps final one. Maybe just because I think Martinelli is perhaps more explosive for the first few game weeks. But I think what is a good factor, which you said about then, is like I'm going to call it overtime, but like all the added time they're playing is almost like extra time. And if we're going to be getting 10 to 15 minutes extra, if you think someone like Martinelli perhaps is going to get rotated more heavily with Trossard, maybe Havertz, obviously now in the side, someone like Martinelli could be getting like an extra. I know the ball's obviously not in play, but by the time, let's say he's getting 70, 80 minutes, he could be getting maybe 20 to 25 minutes pitch time more, maybe on average per week, than, let's say, Martinelli. So I do think that's quite valuable, and I think that might start to pay over the course of the season. And for 0.5 million more, you do get a lot more security, a lot more involvement. And he, like you say, he was high against City, and maybe that was just how they were planning to play with the press. And it was hard to see, like, if he wasn't really getting in the box on the end of any sort of cutbacks because it wasn't that sort of game. But yeah,
At the same time,
like
some against a team like Nottingham Forest, who are probably going to defend
sit back on
low block, like
Yeah.
he's going to be the one that's going to create the chances probably.
His key passes are going to be off the scale. I mean, when I owned him last year, you basically were guaranteed if he got an assist, he was probably going to be on 2 or 3 bonus. So like each assist was worth almost 5 points because he would just rack up those key passes as well. So yeah, no, if I had a 0.5 million spare, I think I would happily pay it to get Martinelli up to Odegaard.
Having said all this, obviously, I feel like I still prefer Martinelli. Just for explosiveness in that first game. Yeah, if I was going to pick only 2 of them, it would be Saka and Martinelli. But just at the moment, I like Odegaard just because he is being overlooked. But you just have to make sure that like the fixtures that you get him for, he's going to get returns.
Sure.
Which is obviously you can't really predict that, but yeah, season wide, I feel like he will be lower than likes of Saka, but I guess we'll see. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
No, I think he's almost you're choosing from a lot of different options. I mean, I even just made some notes about Havertz and Trossard off the back of the weekend and how they impacted the team, and I think most notably for me was that Havertz slotted in at that number 9 position and was first choice centre forward, despite the fact Trossard had played there last season and performed well. I mean, maybe it was Arteta saying, look, let's see what Havertz is like in this position, but in a game which he was obviously so desperate to win, like he was jumping up and down on the touchline after the first 5 minutes, getting the ref to blow up for every City foul. Arteta like really wanted to win that game, make a statement about the start of the season, and to do that, he picked Havertz in that 9 position. We know Jesus is going to be out for, let's say, the first 3 or so game weeks, and 7.5 million. It's if you're looking for an extra 0.5 to a million somewhere, I don't think he's a bad shout. When you compare him with someone like Maddison, let's say, for those opening fixtures, I think Havertz could be a good option. And I know he's like a transfer out because he's not going to be first choice all the time. But yeah, I think he has the potential to do well. I mean, he's not for me, but I'm just saying I think he's potential to be good.
I did go there last season and I regretted it. So,
okay.
And I feel like he'll probably do it again. I just think he's just not a very good finisher and he just wastes loads of chances. And I don't know if that might impact someone like Odegaard if Havertz is going to keep playing. Not for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I suppose Trossard is just a similar boat to that, really. Like,
yeah.
He's shown, I think, of all the Arsenal sort of front line, he is the most clinical for me. Like, he's got such a good finish on him, maybe even more so than Martinelli. So I had a look at his XG to see if that backed up. So he scored 8 goals across the course of last season. 7.5 of them were sort of an XG of 7.5. And yes, he was the closest, if you like, XG to actual goal output of all the Arsenal forwards. So I think it does back up that if Arteta's looking to back one of his players for guaranteed goals, he's someone to go to. And yeah, 7 million, but again, I
don't think he's an FPL pick. That's the problem. He's just can't predict that.
No, he's maybe a double game week player,
unless someone gets injured. Then yeah.
Any more midfielders to chat about before we
so someone again being overlooked, Jota, 8 million. I'm certainly considering him as someone in that sort of 3rd, 7th attacker role as well. Essential apparently to Klopp's pressing system. He said that he prefers Jota to Nunes for the pressing and important games. So I can see him certainly starting the Chelsea game. But I would be worried if he gets rotated for the Bournemouth game where Nunes comes in, where it's less serious, I guess. And that's the game you obviously want him for, the Bournemouth one. So he only played 1,125 mins last year, but in that time he got 7 goals, 4 assists, which is obviously pretty good. Average points per game per start was 5.58, which is 8th across all mids, which is pretty good. And obviously in the game week 30 to 38 last season, that's where he got his 7 goals and 1 assist. He had 20 shots in that time, 9 big chances for himself, 5 key passes, an XG of 4.5. So he's obviously going over that. But and then in preseason returns, he's had 4 goals, 3 assists, which is 7 altogether. 2nd overall out of all players in preseason behind Salah, who obviously got that bunch of assists. I think he's going to start Chelsea, I feel like. Could he be a good punt for the first 2? Maybe. will they outperform Chelsea and he starts Bournemouth too? Maybe, but I feel like Liverpool are going to score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And Jota has been getting a lot of those goals that Salah has been assisting. So, yeah, definitely tempted.
Yeah.
I like that as a differential of 3.3% as someone who's just going to probably get goals if he's playing.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like a Foden. If he starts, he's going to get returns.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's so clinical. I think he's probably one of their. I think he's a better finisher than Darwin for sure. He's probably better than Gakpo. So yeah, after Salah, he's probably their most clinical sort of forward player. And Davro in the chat mentions, if not Salah, which Liverpool mid assets would you go for? I agree.
I think it's him.
It would be Jota. I think because he's been reclassified as well as a midfielder now. That extra point for a goal and clean sheet is huge for him. And I think we were chatting about it yesterday. Like I think there is going to be reason in teams that are stuck in like either 3-5-2 or 4-3-4-3 that one of your front like attacking players is rotatable based on fixtures, and there's no reason why Jota shouldn't be in that consideration if you haven't, or under consideration if you haven't got Salah. Like, yeah, I'm from the start.
Say you don't start with him, you forget about the Chelsea game, and he maybe doesn't start the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Then you think, oh, okay, he's probably going to start this Bournemouth game. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. No, I like Jota a lot. So yeah, definitely one to watch for me, and I'm sure he'll be on my team at some point this season.
He basically started all the games at the end of the season. He played like basically all of them, and he got 7 goals, 1 assist in like 8 games. So that's pretty good.
Even when he was injured, coming on the pitch, fouling people, he was popping up and scoring goals in like the 98th minute. So
yeah.
Harry actually makes an interesting point about minutes as well, because Salah is one of the reasons to get him, because he's guaranteed to play like the full 100+ minutes every game, where some players, maybe even Haaland included, if he's done, let's say, if he's scored a goal and assist and City are winning 2 or 3-0, he is coming off. Whereas Salah's the type of player to stay on until, 100 minutes if they're putting their foot down and battering teams. So, that's interesting point. All right.
Was it the Bournemouth game last year when it was 9-0 and obviously Salah got nothing? So there's something to consider.
Yeah.
Jota could be getting all those returns.
He could be. Just finally, before we move on 6.5 million midfielders. I don't think you've got one in your team, but who's your like pick, if you like? Because it's a spot in my team I've had a lot of indecision over. Eze, Matoma, probably my top 2 picks.
I'm just avoiding that price point right now, just because I don't know who is the best.
Right. Okay.
So I think they are good picks. Diaby, Matoma, Mbeumo, sorry. Eze, I think, is really good too.
Yeah.
I think all of them are good picks, but I don't know which one. So I'm picking slightly higher in the price point, so that I can go down to one which sticks out if I need to. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, fair enough. But someone said Bernardo in the chat. Andrew said Bernardo. Don't mind. He played at the weekend, and until no, they were interested in Paqueta. I mean, Foden doesn't look like he's first or in Guardiola's thoughts, but he's never been that clinical. And I think it's that classic. It's an important spot, the 7th attacker, and if they've not got guaranteed minutes, like I would say most of the City mids have, then.
But he didn't show much attacking for it really in the Charity Shield. Like no real shots of a assist or sort of even shots. I don't think so. Yeah.
I really like.
Who are you preferring?
I really like Eze, but at the moment I have Matoma. I feel like Eze is the classic FPL talisman. So he's playing on that number 10 role. He's on free kicks. He's on corners. He's on penalties. It feels like if Palace are going to win a game this season, he's going to be involved. And he's had a great pre-season. 2 goals, 5 assists. He's looked really sharp. And the goals he scored were great as well. I mean, one of them was fantastic. It was low XG, that whole dribble and finish one. But it was quality. And a player who's like at the top of his game at the moment. I think he's desperate to be called up. I really like Eze. And I think I would have him if Matoma's fixtures weren't as good as they are. Like 3 home games in the first 4 against Luton, West Ham, Newcastle, away game against Wolves. Perhaps Matoma hasn't shown as much in pre-season as Eze. He's just got 2 assists. I just think it's so close between the two. just think it's definitely this is one of the trickiest position in the team. It feels stupid to not have a Brighton attacker for their run of fixtures.
Eze on pens as well.
I know.
Matoma certainly is not. Yeah,
it's difficult. I mean,
Eze has obviously got that Sheffield United away fixture. I feel like that is very good. I would not be surprised if he gets a goal assist in that game.
Yeah. But then they've got Arsenal at home, Brentford away. I'd say Arsenal at home is difficult. Brentford away, I think, is going to be a tough game as well. I think part of the reason is the team. I feel like because Brighton are a much more attacking team than Palace, there's probably greater chance of Matoma involvement, if that makes sense, despite the fact that Eze's on pretty much everything. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. The rest of the team around him are pretty poor. So we'll see him go into somewhere like, I wouldn't be surprised if City try and buy him in a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Should we move on to the forwards and discuss the cesspit of options?
So obviously the list is dwindling down. Such a shame about Nkunku out for a couple of months. I was really, really looking forward to watching him play and hopefully picking him in FPL. But I've just noted down Dominic Calvert-Lewin at 6 million, 2.5% owned.
You crazy.
Obviously, I'm not saying pick him, but I feel like he could be an option because he seems to be back now. Who knows how long that'll be for, but his fixtures, as we talked with Pickford, are so good. Someone's got to be scoring, and he's on penalties because he scored in the last preseason game a penalty. So if you really need to save money, you want you want a double Salah plus a Haaland as well in your draft, then DCL could be someone to look at. Like we've discussed with like Morris and Wisser and stuff like that, like the forwards for these cheap teams are going to score goals, like they just are. So if you want to be on them, it's just like fixtures are king. So they're right there for Everton.
No, I agree. The fixtures are there. He's low ownership, and he's definitely a bit of an enabler. Much like Pedro at Brighton. I mean, he is the talk of FPL Twitter right now, right? And you have him in your team. He's 5.5 million forward, signed from Watford. I mean, what's made you, or what's convinced you on Pedro? Because at the moment, it's not there for me.
He's played loads of mins in the preseason. He's scored pens. He's taken pens in front of Gross, who's been on the pitch in their last, obviously, preseason game, which looked like their first 11. He's there, starting, playing most of the minutes. Their record signings, as we discussed before, Brighton don't really spend huge on players, so that probably means something that they're going to want him to play. So I feel like it's his position. He's the 10 behind someone like a Welbeck or Ferguson. And he's just going to be involved. Like, he's got assists, he's got goals in the preseason. Like, that's just going to be his game. Like, what else can you really want from him? Like,
does he play centre forward as well, or is he just a 10?
He can play centre forward. Yeah, he can play across the front 3/4. I think. Okay. So he's flexible, and I just feel like he's going to be in most of the. He might get a benching occasionally, but 5.5 million, I think that's kind of okay, and. I just think he'll play most of the games.
So you've got no worry about moving from him or anything like that. I suppose that's just a thought for future Kieran.
I think Hindu Monkey on Twitter mentioned Morris. I think it's from Game Week 5 at Luton, who have like an insane run of fixtures. Luton do. Okay. So there's a way out there who's also 5.5 million. If I needed to, but if I had to, I would just downgrade the fifth mid to someone, and I'd move him up to like a Watkins, I guess.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, he's interested me like a little bit, but I don't know why. Maybe I've just not watched enough of him or not been on him enough to think that this is a genuine option. I think if I did get him, I wouldn't just do it instead of a Watkins to complement Haaland. I think I'd probably switch to 3-4-3 and just get rid of.
Yeah, I have looked at that for sure. Yeah,
get rid of like Matoma and that 6.5 million slots straight away, and then just make that a bit easier. I just think that with him, the idea of switching the 7th forward, I'd like to be able to switch any of them and to someone else, if that makes sense, in one move. Whereas I think if you have Pedro, you're almost guaranteed to have to make 2 moves on any given week, even if you've got that 1-3 transfer banked. I know it's ridiculous to be talking about getting rid of them.
I think I'm guaranteed goals and assists and points, Chris. That's
yeah, true. Well, maybe. But what? Yeah, okay, all right. Do you see what I mean though about having to make 2 moves? That's what worry. You got maybe you got to
for
convince
sure.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just wildcard YOLO.
All right. Other forwards to talk about. Well, there isn't really. I mean, it's so difficult to talk about forwards.
Kane,
we could talk about absolutely. Well, 4 goals in that last friendly. He's had a great return over pre-season. 11% ownership. So obviously people are. I think it's interesting that he did as well as he did last season. Scored more than Salah, but he's less than half the ownership that Salah has for this season. I think that's quite a surprise, really, which makes me think people aren't going with any 4-4-2 drafts with him and Haaland up front.
Yeah, I've looked at it, but yeah, it's just the same situation with Salah. Like, I just don't feel like it's worth the.
No.
If I'm not captaining him, there's just no point.
Yeah, when you can get all those sort of mid-price, premium players. I agree. He's got good fixtures, and I'm sure people who have him are going to just tick along and do well, and it'll probably take until like game week 30 until we see Kane as like 180 points by then, and we're all thinking, what the hell have we been doing all season? Why have we not had him in our teams? But what do you think? Do you think he's going to go as well? I mean, that's probably part of the reason why he isn't picked more.
I don't personally. No, I think he'll stay. I've seen a lot of narrative on Twitter that he doesn't really haul, which I kind of guess he was getting is just like 9 points for each week, wasn't he? And his bonus. But I feel like in this super attacking Spurs now that we've seen, obviously as the numbers I was mentioning in the preseason of all the shots, like that whole potential is going to go up. I feel like so. There's maybe after the sort of fixtures that Haaland has, you could move Haaland on towards a Kane. I don't think Haaland is going to be like. I expect the same from him. From last year, but I don't think he'll overperform. Yes, the same from Haaland. And if Kane was only like something like 8 points less than him across the season, if Kane is going to be scoring more, which I feel like he will be, then Haaland is not going to be essential compared to a Kane. Yeah. And then you're saving like, what is it, 2 million to 1.5 million? Yeah, that's a lot of money that you can use elsewhere as well. So
that could probably help you get somewhere towards upgrading a midfielder to Salah, to be honest.
Yeah, or Pedro to Watkins.
Yeah, true. Hey, you meant to love Pedro. Talking of Watkins, so full disclosure, he's in my team because I like him. So scored in 4 or 6 friendlies. He's still on pens, it looks like, despite the fact that he missed one as well. I think he's nailed in what should be a good attacking side, and one that's going to get better. I know we've talked about mids a little bit this show, and it does sort of make me a bit like ugh, because Diaby's scored in 2 of the 4 games he started in. He's basically playing up front with Watkins, and he's only a 6.5 million mid, so he's getting that extra goal and clean sheet point. So he not quite yet. He isn't like nullified Watkins as an option. Like, imagine if he took his penalties off him, but. Yeah, while Watkins still on penalties, and
he could because Watkins is pretty bad.
Yes, it's true. I feel like I'm not confident when Watkins steps up and take a penalty. Maybe because his technique always just looks like he looks unsure.
On Twitter, he's had something like 10 recently that people have talked about, and he's missed more than he's scored. So yeah,
I don't. Well, he's been in my team as a nice 8 million sort of price point up front, but despite the fact there's not many 8 million forwards, but I think he's going to be in my team come game week 1.
He was in my team because I felt like I had to have him at the 8 million price point and bracket, and I thought he was like I thought that Nkunku would possibly be back for like game week 3 or something like that. So I would pick Watkins as just a placeholder to get Nkunku for game week 3 for Chelsea's fixtures. Right? Yeah. Obviously, that's not happening now. So then I'm thinking, what the hell do I need Watkins for?
Yeah, true. All right. I get that. Yeah, I just like his fixtures. I like his fixtures.
Game week 2 and 3 are good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Well, even up to game week 10.
He doesn't haul though. That's the problem. And the Villa don't score that many goals.
No, I don't think I need him to like haul, because I kind of based on how Watkins or how he was playing last season, he was basically getting like 2 or 3 bonus points for every goal he scored because they don't score a lot, and that was like really important. So he was cranking out, like, when he was on his golden run anyway, 7, 8, 9 point games just for scoring 1 goal. So yeah, I think if he's roughly scoring what his price is, that's not too bad.
Yeah. I didn't own him like all of last season, and he obviously was on that run where he's just scoring every week.
Yeah.
And he's become a bit of a nemesis of mine. So he's definitely going to score for you. Because I don't own him, he's going to score a few.
True.
100%. 100%.
All right. Before we get on to our revealing our team / latest draft, is there anyone else you want to chat about from the forward line?
I'll quickly mention Wilson, 8 million. For Newcastle, 9.9% owned. I feel like that will probably go down when teams have stopped the auto select. Fixtures aren't great, but I think from game week 5, they have a fixture swing, which is Brentford at home, Sheffield United away, Burnley at home, West Ham and United away, Crystal Palace at home. So that game week 5 fixture swing is a thing, which you could certainly look at from Watkins. So he is rightfully low owned at the moment, or obviously Villa, Man City, Liverpool, Brighton in the first 4. But in his last preseason games, he was looking sharp. 2 assists for Barnes. Obviously, is the new player there on the left-hand side. I imagine he will probably get some starts and may get to start looked at eventually. I just think he's looked sharp. Was playing good minutes in the preseason. So, his numbers last year were good across playing basically half minutes in the season, which hopefully he can just stay fit. We saw what he did at the end of last year when people captained him over Isaac. I was an Isaac captainer, and so I hate him for that. But he will definitely be an option at some point this year. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like he and Isaac are definitely going to be on our radar at some point. Just maybe not right now, just at the start of the season. But I think between them they'll be good, really. No, agree. All right. Well, should we get on to talking about our drafts?
Yes, we shall.
Do you want to go first and chat through yours? I'll bring it up on the screen now. So, Kieran's team. Woo!
Is it up? I can't even tell.
It is.
Yeah. Right, okay. At the moment it's Onana in goal. It may not be eventually, with the obviously Turner thing that's happened. The back line of Chilwell, there's 5-3-2. So back line of Chilwell, Estepinian, and Stones at the moment. Udoji first sub, who I've discussed, who can rotate in for Estepinian in his tough fixtures, and 2 attacking fullbacks, which I like. And obviously, I'll mention the bench as well for Kabore for Luton, who's the left wing back, I think it is. So he can come in if I eventually need, and then Mbeumo, who's a 4.5. Forward for West Ham,
minutes, I guess.
should get some minutes. I feel like. There's a deep bench in this sort of lineup as well. I feel like the players that's definitely going to play. Mbeumo should get minutes too. And then the 5 across the mid. I've got triple Arsenal attack at the moment. I don't have Gabriel, which is something I guess interesting. But most teams do have one Arsenal defender. I've got triple Arsenal mids: Saka, Martinelli, and Odegaard. Like I said as well, Odegaard / Martinelli could be ones that just rotate for a Maddison, for a Jota, down to a 6.5, the one that's looking good. So I like that. Maybe even Bruno, who could move out as well. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Then I've got Bruno and Rashford. Obviously, that Wolves fixture is looking great now. Rashford out of position against managerless, well, I guess sort of managerless Wolves looks juicy to me at home. And then up front is the João Pedro, who I've got captained. I'm obviously not going to captain him. It will be Haaland, and then Haaland, obviously. I wasn't loving this draft to start with. Like, it wasn't going to be my final one. But the more I think about it and look at it with that rotation of Estepinian and Udoji, I like it. I feel like I may end up on this with a possible switch of keepers.
So have you got any cash in the bank on this one? Were you talking about having money spare earlier, or is it totally maxed out?
I
was going to say, it looks like it might have some money left because of João Pedro.
It's 0 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably because of Chilwell and Stones.
True.
And that 8.5, the stacked mid. I can get price from Onana. I could get price from Chilwell down to like a Colwell maybe. There's still, I could get Odegaard down to a Maddison, which would give me $1 million as well. So there's things I can do still, but I'm liking this at the moment, just like that. It's just that 7th attacker, which I need to like nailed down, which is so hard.
So who's still up? Who from this before Friday evening? So 2 days time. Who's the biggest question mark? Or like
Yeah, the
who
seventh
are?
attacker.
Who is the seventh attacker in your mind though? Is it Odegaard or is it Pedro?
Oh no, Pedro's staying for
Oh,
sure.
okay, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is Odegaard. Yeah, it's that one last midfield spot. So that could be Watkins as well. So I could go to a 4-3-3
Yeah.
or a 3-4-3. Yeah, so it's that and the goalkeepers, I think, and then that's it. And then if I go with Odegaard down and Watkins thing, I can get Gabriel in, but then it kind of means I start to bench Chilwell against Liverpool, which I don't really want to do. I think that he probably will concede.
Sheet? Oh, okay.
No, I don't, but I feel like he could get something. Like just loads of space against Trent, like there always is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he's looked so attacking in preseason. So
he has. I hope Chelsea are all right. Like we talked very briefly about it there, but yeah, the fact that Nkuku's going to be out for like months, I think that's going to be a big blow to them. Obviously not from a defensive point of view, but just maybe just to the attacking side of the team anyway. So yeah, I feel like it's.
I feel like the defense is going to be good. Their fixture run from game week 3 is so good. I feel like the defense of Chilwell, James, Thiago Silva, and Colwell is going to be really good to me.
No,
that's a stacked defense, and Kepa's like I think there's talk of Bayern wanting Kepa for some reason. So and they've just bought Sanchez. Didn't like Tuchel drop Kepa for Mendy? Like why is Tuchel wanting?
I don't know.
Kepa, like it just makes no sense to me.
Don't know. Maybe just to put him on the bench or the reserve to punish him.
Yeah, so I still think that defense is worth clean sheets, and Chilwell is obviously still a good attacking asset, even despite Nkuku not being there. I think he'll get returns, and he looks fit as well. So,
yeah, okay. No, to be fair, I don't think there's anything. Yeah, for me, there's no big question marks on it. I'm
scared about Matoma and stuff like that, but you can't own them all, as they say. So yeah.
I mean, I'm scared about Pedro. Imagine if he's like the real deal, and he's legit. And
believe it.
Oh, he scores in back-to-back games. He scores penalty. I don't know. I just think. And
penalty and assist against Luton. It's happening.
Yeah, it's a shame he's not actually like a centre forward in real life, but maybe that doesn't make too much difference.
I feel like they're pretty interchangeable on that front. Like he has played just solo up front in the preseason as well. Yeah. So yeah.
No, I just think the midfield looks strong. So no, I like it a lot. But so you're the only question then is just Odegaard. The rest of it you think you're pretty set.
Yeah, and the goalkeepers. Yeah.
And the goalkeepers. Okay. All right. Fine. I don't think there's any more to add on that. So let's jump over and have a look at how I'm shaping
see
up.
this.
I mean, to be fair, it's. I think most people are going to say it's going to look fairly similar. So I'll run through it. So Onana in goal, backup goalkeeper's Whitworth because I like the fact that he's got low ownership as a 4 million, and Crystal Palace are probably the team I'd go to as my 4.5/4 million rotation. So got no issue with having that. The back I got Stones, much against my best wishes, but he's in for that FOMO. Gabriel because I like his security of starts his XG. Stupian because he's mass owned, and we talked about FOMO missing out on that. They've got good fixtures start season. Midfield is pretty much similar to yours really. Rashford, Martinelli, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Matoma making that 6.5 million spot because I think he's got more Premier League pedigree than Pedro. It's pretty much how I'm basing my decision there. Watkins with the penalties up front, Haaland as well. I mean, we went through the striker section again this evening. We didn't mention Haaland just because of how boring he's made FPL with that huge ownership. It's not really anything to say.
Yep.
Bench Colwell in at first up. I think if looks like he's nailed down that starting spot in the Chelsea backline, I think he's going to be crucial for me because 4.5 million rotation with any of Stones, Gabriel, or Stupian for game weeks 3, 4, and 5. That's easily happening. Bayer I quite like just slightly more than Kabore just because I think he as a centre back he's probably slightly less prone to rotation. That's all I'm basing that on. I think it's probably close. Not that I expected to be on that much. And then like you and Mwamba because I think he's probably the most reliable of those 4.5 million mids. I would say like I said, I haven't moved on from this for over 24 hours now. I quite like it. Maybe I'll get swayed by João Pedro close to the deadline, but I don't want to get...
I don't think you will.
No, I don't think I will either. I think this, for me, has got slightly more flexibility with moving Matoma, moving Watkins around if I need to attack some fixtures. So Let's see. I think my only question mark, like I've mentioned, is Stones, because I just don't like Pep's rotation of City defenders, and maybe I'll back out of that and
Who would you get instead?
just a slightly cheaper City defender. So
Okay.
whether that's Walker, whether that's Akanji, because that 5.5 million could be
Yeah,
useful.
it looks like Walker's staying, so he might be an all right option, to be fair.
Yeah, and maybe I don't need them to play, because I think having someone like Cole on the bench is a really good option.
Yep.
So and even Bayer to an extent, I don't mind that at all, really. Yeah, that's pretty much where I am, really. We're quite similar, just slight structural difference. I think we're maybe like 5 players different.
Yeah, it's no solid difference between us. So that would have been a big difference if we went that one of us went for that. But I'm kind of looking at mine and wondering if I have too many minute riskers. But I don't think so. At least to start the season, I don't think I do. But like Stones, Chilwell should definitely start every game.
Yeah, you'd think
Martinelli, I guess is maybe a minute risker. And then Udoji, I assume, is definitely nailed. He has been in all the preseason.
Yeah.
Started in the what we're trying to say, the first choice 11 friendlies. So, maybe that's something to see. Maybe I could go down from Anana to maybe take Kabore up if I need to go. If I need to, like, do I need a 3 deep bench? Not really.
Probably not. No. I think maybe a two deep bench is fine, especially until the first wild card. Like these teams are going to change so much. If you think by like what trends appear, like we're trying our hardest to predict this, but most of it's just based on fixtures, as it should be. The team is going to be pretty different, I would have thought, by game week 8 or 9.
Do you think you're going to stick with Anana, or are you going to?
I think
head
so.
Off that?
I think so. I think just to start the season, and it's a good first home fixture which looks like a banker clean sheet. And to be honest, even when the game launched, I had this idea that I was going to have Shaw because it looked like a banker, and game week 3 also looks like one as well. So yeah, and I think he allows Gabriel, Stupinan and Stones, who have also got good sets of fixtures at the start of the season for different reasons. Man City and Arsenal obviously got good defensive records. Stupinan's got fairly decent attacking threat and fairly good fixtures.
Considering Turner and Pickford, Turner and Johnston, or not?
Not really. No, not at the moment. I think if anyone, I'm just going to have the Palace goalkeeper.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put that in, see what it does for the funds, see what I can do.
It depends. If Turner becomes available for before the start of the season, but I still think
he absolutely should.
But I think that's like going on to a bit of a tangent now. But Forrest is still interested in Henderson, so even if
but like I feel like he should start like a few games at least. So he's going to be, and then he'll still be the backup.
True.
And Henderson seems to get injured a lot, and there's some crap going on with that transfer, isn't there?
Yeah.
So and Henderson seems to be pretty bad in the dressing room, so I've heard. It's a bit of a troublemaker, but yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm not sure about the goalkeeper picks, but Henderson naughtiness aside. But anyway, so what do you? Nothing too drastic. I think it's quite safe again, but that's fine by me.
It's just those little picks, isn't it? That we just need to nail down, and it should be what you're thinking, like 60 odd points, hopefully.
You'd think so. I mean, I think all of it really is a bit made. Like the captaincy is obviously redundant by Haaland because he's just going to have such high ownership and obviously effective ownership, so it's just down to the others. I think the only person I'm not that convinced is going to perform well in game week 1 is Watkins, so like away at Newcastle. Like even though he scored against him in pre-season, I think he's the only one based on fixture I wouldn't expect a return from, whereas everyone else, given the fixtures and their pedigree, I would expect a return from game week 1.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, if they are sort of all on average score, like you say, 6 points, either a clean sheet or a assist across the middle plus Haaland's captaincy points, you would expect minimum 60 really.
Yeah, fair. Fine.
All right, I don't think we've got any more to say really. That's it. It's exciting. We got, like I say, Friday evening is going to be around the corner, and we're going to be locked in to this.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy where I'm at.
Same, to be honest. Same. That'd be good. All right. Well, enjoy game week 1. And what are we going to do? We're going to be back next Wednesday, either celebrating or with tears in our eyes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Planning wildcards and thinking, how the hell do we get Salah for game week 2?
No, not gonna happen. Just Jota with all the goals.
Maybe that's it. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We will see you next week. Enjoy game week 1.
Yeah. Thanks all.